Yeah, thank you for joining us today for this informational travel seminar on the 6th Annual Primary Care Spring Conference. My name is Walter Ennis, President of Continuing Education Company, and joining me today is Georgia Turner, Vice President of Tourism Development for the Flagler County Chamber of Commerce and Affiliates. Before we start, I'd like to point out a few features about the webinar that should make it more enjoyable for you. While you might be listening over your telephone or computer, please be aware that all lines have been muted. If you have a question or experience any technical problems, please type your question and submit it. You should see a box there somewhere on your screen that will allow you to submit a question. You might also see a chat box as well, and you could put something in there, and we'll be able to see that. Anything that comes through, the questions, they'll be discussed at the end of the short presentation. It's a short 10, 15-minute presentation, and we'll have about 40 minutes or so, half an hour, 40 minutes for Q&A. Any technical problems will be addressed immediately. And with that, I will start the webinar. Georgia, are you with us?
I am with you.
Well, thank you for joining us. So let me get this going. Here we go. All right, so the agenda for today, we'll go over the conference briefly. We'll talk a little bit about travel, accommodations, attractions in the area, dining, and then we'll open it up for questions. First, the little overview of the location. The meeting, and we're referring to the primary care conferences that are coming up in just a few weeks in Palm Coast. We will be holding 3 additional conferences in Palm Coast over the summer, and some of you may be attending those or thinking about attending those. So Palm Coast is located in Flagler County. As you can see from the screen, closest airport would be Daytona Beach International Airport. You've got Jacksonville International Airport, an hour and 15 minutes, and then Orlando International Airport, an hour and 30 minutes. The closest city would probably be St. Augustine. It's about 20 miles to the north. We'll review those options for airports later in the second part of this presentation. As I said earlier, the conferences we're holding there, we're holding a lot this year in Palm Coast, and there's a reason for it. It's been ranked by our previous attendees as their favorite location for CME, and our speakers as well. They actually fight to get a chance to speak at the Palm Coast conference because they like it that much. So we've got the 6th Annual Primary Care Spring Conference, Session 1, which takes place April 2nd to the 6th. The Session 2, 9th to the 13th. In the summer, we'll be there the last week of July with the Essentials in Primary Care Summer Conference, Session 1. Session 2 takes place July 30th to August 3rd. And very recently, we added an additional summer conference, the Carolinas, Georgia, and Florida chapters of the American Society of Hypertension, ASH, had a conference. They were holding it for 15 years, and they had decided to stop the conference this year. They worked together in association with the Southern Medical Association, but they approached us and asked if we wanted to take it over. So we said, yeah, absolutely, sure. And we're actually squeezing it in between the Session 1 and Session 2. It's a 3-day, 16-credit conference. So where the others are all 5-day, 20 credits, this is a 3-day weekend conference for 16 credits. That'll happen this summer. And some attendees have already indicated that they will try to combine both conferences to get more CME out of it. And we do have special pricing on that. So you can see that on our website. The agenda for the conferences are all basically the same. They're half-day sessions, morning sessions. The Sunday before each session, we have an on-site sign-in or registration between 5 and 6. We don't recommend that you go out of your way to get there Sunday, but if you happen to be at the resort, if you're staying at the resort, if it's convenient for you, you do it. You'll save a few minutes the next morning. Otherwise, registration is from 7 to 8 a.m. The morning of the conference. That's Monday morning. The conference hours 8 to 12:15. I run a tight ship. You'll be out of there by 12:15 sharp, and you'll have the afternoon to spend with your family. So airport options, we mentioned this earlier, Daytona, Jacksonville, and Orlando, Daytona being the closest. I have a favorite, Jacksonville, and you can jump in anytime you want on this one, Georgia, but Jacksonville tends to be my favorite. It's a very simple airport. There are a lot of flights that go into Jacksonville. Daytona, some of the direct flights are limited depending on where you're coming from. But if you're going to make a connection and that's convenient, then you've only got a 40-minute drive to the resort from Daytona. Jacksonville, I have seen over the last few years that we've been running this conference that even the airfares are a little bit less going to Jacksonville and Daytona. But I definitely, would not, I wouldn't worry about the hour and 15-minute drive if you can save some money or if it's a convenient flight going into Jacksonville. It's straight through down on 95, just going straight south, and it's pretty convenient. You're there before you know it. Orlando is the third option, and Orlando is a much bigger airport. There are many more flights that go into Orlando. I haven't seen much of a difference in rate. Sometimes I've seen the rates a little higher into Orlando. Again, it depends on the time of year.
From time to time it is. So I would definitely have everybody check all three because it just really depends on, how the airlines are feeling that day.
That's absolutely true. And also car rental is something to look at as well. I know that, when we're booking our speaker trips, we bring them into Jacksonville more often than not because if they're looking at renting a car, the car rentals can be a little bit less in Jacksonville. Okay, and that depends from time to time. There is a fourth option that I don't have on the screen. It's an option that I learned about last year, and more of our attendees are taking advantage of that option. That's Sanford.
Sanford?
Yep.
Sanford, they have a lot of nice options out of there, so that's worth a shot as well. And they call it Orlando Sanford, so that may be on some cases, so they may want to take a look and just make sure that they're looking at the right thing. If they don't see SANFORD, a lot of times it's called Orlando Sanford.
Yeah, and that's located just northeast of Orlando. I think it's about 20 minutes closer to the resort, so it'll take you about an hour and 10 minutes maybe to get there. I know there's a Amtrak terminal there as well for those who are coming from the Mid-Atlantic area, that taking the auto train that goes right into Sanford. Now, Allegiant Air goes into Sanford, and they have direct flights from the Midwest. A lot of our attendees are from the Midwest, so there are quite a few direct flights, and if you book early, they're very inexpensive. So that's another option. As I said, consider connections, ease of airport access, car rental options, and cost when deciding on the airport. And we definitely recommend the car. We get this question all the time, Georgia, when we do these webinars. Can you recommend the car service? We get that call all the time. It will be less expensive for you to rent a car in the long term than to take a car service from any one of those airports. Maybe not Daytona, but from Jacksonville or Orlando. And you'll have the freedom of having a car to really explore the region. And as we get into the different options, what there is to do in Flagler County and Palm Coast, you'll see why you'll want a rental car. The accommodations, well, the host resort is the Hammock Beach Resort. For those of you who are registered for week 1 and 2 of the spring conference, you probably already know that the resort is sold out, and we expect it to be sold out for the summer conferences as well. So reserve your rooms early on because they do sell out. There are multiple options there for rooms: a 1-bedroom suite, a 1-bedroom lodge, which is we'll show you the locations of these. It's a smaller, traditional hotel-style room. The suites are fairly large. They've got a king in one room, and in a separate room, it's not divided by a doorway or a wall. It's just an additional sitting room. They have a pull-out queen. There are 2 televisions there. There's a kitchenette which has a stovetop, a small refrigerator, and a microwave, and a little sink. You don't have that in the lodge room. Then there's a 2-bedroom villa, 3-bedroom villa, and then the suites. Anything with the suite, if you see the picture right there, the main building, that's all the main building. That's where you will see the suites. The villas are in a separate part of the property right behind the hotel. And I think we have a map here, and I can take you through it. So that's the one-bedroom lodge building. There's also a pool there, right. Georgia, do you see the arrow, or is that arrow not there when I move it around my cursor? Hello?
I'm not seeing it. Just,
You're not
I'm
seeing
not
it?
seeing it
Okay.
just because I'm not with you. I'm
Oh,
going off
that's
the
right. You weren't
PowerPoint.
able to get on. So, all right. So in any event, the that one-bedroom lodge, which is kind of blocked there now, that's where you'll also find the Atlantic Grill restaurant. There's a small private pool back there. I call it private because it's always empty. And while they don't have a little restaurant there during the day, they do have poolside service. There's a phone you pick up, and they will deliver the food to you right from the Atlantic Grill. So that's very convenient.
And it's yummy.
Yeah, and actually the pool food there is even nicer than the pool food at the main pool. So then you've got the one and three bedroom suites. There are also 4-bedroom suites in this building. This is the main building that's highlighted right now. And then we've got the villas. So you can see it's very close. I think from the furthest villa, the very corner of the property, if you were to walk to the conference, it would take you about 4 minutes, less than 5 for sure, to get to the pool. Maybe 5 minutes of a walk, and there are little cut-throughs that you can go right through the resort, through the lower level to get to the pool. So it's all pretty convenient. And that's the pool complex right there. If you see on the bottom of the screen, there's a golf course. On the other side of the golf course, that's where Cinnamon Beach is. It's directly across from the golf course, also along the ocean. There are some condos there, some available for private rental and some through the resort. I know that some of you are staying there through the resort, and some have gone privately once the resort was sold out. They also have the Yacht Club Harbor, which you can't see here, but it's directly to the west of the property. It's about a 5-minute drive, and that's on the Intercoastal. And some people actually opted for rooms there. Other accommodations in the area, we have an arrangement with the Hampton Inn, special rates there. There's the Hilton Garden Inn, Holiday Inn Express, Best Western. There's a Sleep Inn. There are a lot of other places in the immediate area. And then along Flagler Beach, there are a number of inns and motels. Most of those are small mom and pop type accommodations. Some of them are actually really nice with views right across the A1A to the ocean. So there are a number of options, and we have some of those on our website, as well as we'll give you a link later to go to the Flagler County website where they've got their travel guide, and the travel guide lists all of these different options if you don't have a place to stay already. Before we move on, the resort, while it is sold out, every day I'm getting phone calls from people saying that they were able to get a room. So rooms do open from time to time. You just have to constantly call if you don't have a room. So now we'll turn it over to Georgia, who again is with the Flagler County Chamber of Commerce. And Georgia, it's all yours.
Well, thank you very much. I can't stress enough how happy we are to have all of you come in here. It's just going to be a very exciting couple of months here for us in Flagler County. The weather's beautiful right now. Just wish you were here now. How I explain to people where Flagler County is, we always say that we're nestled in the northeast corner of Florida, but how I explain it is we're between the Fast in Daytona Beach and the Past in St. Augustine. We're very, very fortunate for having a great location no matter where you want to go within northeast Florida. Only about 30 minutes from Daytona Beach, again, from the airport. Also about 20 minutes from St. Augustine, 75 on up to Jacksonville. And then, as Walter mentioned, the Orlando airport, both of the Orlando airports are very convenient to get here. So, that's basically where we are. If you take a look, we've got several communities that are here that maybe you've heard of if you haven't in the past. Beverly Beach and Flagler Beach are our communities on the beach side. Then, of course, Palm Coast and Bunnell, and then the town of Marineland. And we'll talk a lot about Marineland in a little bit. Now, Walter, I'm to the disadvantage that I can't see when you change the slide.
It's all right. I'll just change it as you go.
Okay. So I guess a lot of times we're asked, just because we are a little less known in the Florida community, in the state here, is why would you choose Flagler County? Well, one of the main reasons that and really the main reason that we definitely have a lot of people coming here are for our 19 miles of untouched beaches. Absolutely beautiful, pristine beaches. You heard Walter a little bit ago say Cinnamon Beach, but our beaches are a little different because they're cinnamon colored. They're not the white beach that you might expect in some places. There's a little rock here that's a coquina rock, the shell that colors our beach, and it's just absolutely beautiful. We have several quaint little communities. I've had some people here visiting the last couple of days that said it reminded them of Florida back in the 50s and 60s. Flagler Beach and Palm Coast both are communities that definitely are very hospitable and welcome people here with open arms. But I think for those of you who've not been here, you'll be surprised, especially by Flagler Beach. Nice little quaint community with a lot of arts and crafts and artisans that are there, as well as surf shops and what you might expect on the beach. Of course, great seafood, and talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But something else that we're blessed with in Flagler County is an abundance of city, county, state parks and preserves. We have two really special parks that are, one is Washington Oaks Gardens Park that is just absolutely beautiful right now, that we definitely recommend, just about 10 minutes from Hammock Beach, that I would definitely recommend for people to go take a look at. The other is Gamble Rogers, that has a boat ride, some full moon hikes, all kinds of interesting things that you could go and do there. We have about 100 miles of trails in our area. So you can rent a bike, you can hike, it might be a little different hiking than some people are used to because we're kind of flat here. But we do have 100 miles of trails, and adding more and more trails every day that people definitely can take advantage of. We call ourselves a golfer's paradise. I would put Hammock Beach's golf up against any in the whole entire country. And a lot of times people will say that our area is like the Pebble Beach of Florida. It's just absolutely beautiful. And an oceanfront golf course just right there we're at Hammock Beach, which is absolutely beautiful. Something else that we have that people might not expect where we are is a variety of museums. We have a Florida Agriculture Museum that's very interesting, where you can horseback ride and also see life as it was back in the kind of the cracker days, as we would call it here. They just had a new calf that was born there a couple of days ago. That's just something you might not expect in Florida, but there is that part. Agriculture is a huge part of our county. We also have a wonderful little historical museum or two, one in Flagler Beach, one over in our county seat, which is Bunnell. And just a kind of a wide variety. We also have a wonderful little gallery, Hollingsworth Gallery, that pairs up from time to time with the Flagler Art League and does a nice little reception or two, so that may be happening while you're here. But we're just very, very fortunate also to be the home of Marineland, which was established as one of the first Florida attractions back in the 30s. A lot of movies and TV shows were made here. If people remember one called Sea Hunt, and we're also known for an abundance of dolphins there. It's actually now a dolphin adventure where you can go and do an immersion or a petting or just go and kind of check the dolphins out. There's 13 dolphins right now, including one that was born in September. His name is Hemingway. He was named after Ernest Hemingway, who apparently came to Marineland back in the 40s. So we just have a little bit of everything, which we're very, very proud to promote and to show people. But As far as recreational activities, we'd also just put that against anything in the whole entire country, or at least in the state of Florida. Great golf again, a lot of boating opportunity. The Hammock Beach has their own yacht that's called the Sun Dancer that goes out a couple of times a week with a brunch and just like a sunset tour that's awesome. Again, our hiking and biking opportunities, there's plenty of opportunities to rent bicycles throughout Flagler County, and we can tell you more about that. There's great opportunity for fishing, both offshore and inshore, that we have knowledgeable guides that can take you out to different places and make sure that you catch the big one and have your picture made with the big one. Something else that's very, very exciting here is our opportunity to kayak. We have several of our outfitters here. One right across the street from the Marineland attraction is Town of Marineland has a beautiful new marina that they have an outfitter called Ripple Effect that takes you out and has a master naturalist with you that can point out all the beautiful birds and the plants and the oysters, and find a conch shell for you. I mean, just all kinds of interesting things there. Surfing is also big here within Flagler County, and we have surf shops that will rent you surfboards, all your gear, and also give you lessons if you'd like. We're the third largest waves in Florida, and are very fortunate. You'll see a lot of folks out surfing and a lot of helpful people on the beach that would, if you did rent a surfboard and didn't want a lesson, that might be able to help you to go out and surf. We have a new outfitter that is opening up across the street from the beach in Flagler Beach that's going to be called Paddle Out Water Sports. They're opening probably about the time that y'all are coming in April. That in addition to renting stand-up paddle boards and surfboards and kayaks, ocean kayaks, they'll have a service to where they can set you up on the beach, set you up a little, for lack of a better word, area, picnic area, kind of a headquarters, to where they'll have towels and beach chairs and coolers of bottled water. Or if you'd like a picnic, they have a little beachside bakery that's next door to them that's going to be able to do that. So that's something brand new that we're very, very excited about. And that's right next door to one of our favorite restaurants in the area that's called the Golden Lion, that's well known for its good seafood and its atmosphere. They have a big deck out on top that overlooks the ocean across the street from A1A, so it's pretty cool. Birding, we have several stops on the Florida Birding Trail. I could go on and on and on and on because it really is a wonderful place, and we pride ourselves on all the nature and how you can get out in nature here and be outdoors in Flagler County. So, as far as where to eat, you have to have seafood when you come here. That's just one things that you have to do when you come to Flagler County. We have several restaurants up and down A1A that are known for their fresh catch. It might be mahi-mahi or grouper, or yesterday the fresh catch at one of the places that we went to was tilapia. So nice white tender fish, and you can fry it or broil it or blacken it or do whatever you want to do. So we definitely pride ourselves. But there's also a variety of restaurants over in Palm Coast proper. There's some great places in Bunnell, everything from a hot dog stand to some good fried chicken and fried seafood, big sandwiches, that kind of thing. So we definitely pride ourselves from everything to upscale to just down home where you can go and have a fish sandwich in your bathing suit.
Yeah, Georgia, one of the things that we do at our conference is we will have a board right outside the conference room, and we put some recommendations on that board, but we ask our attendees to do the same. And by the middle of the week, you'll see it completely plastered with little post-it notes of all different restaurants where people talk about their experience, what they had to eat, which places were hits, which places are misses. So it'll give a lot of guidance. So I asked all the attendees to keep an eye out for that and to actually put their own recommendations on there as well. We also sent out, for those attending the first week this spring, you already received an email from us that had a nice handout with some of the activities that are available, but as well as some personal recommendations, restaurants that that I would highly recommend that you go to.
What's your favorite, Walter?
Oh, I don't really have a favorite one. I think my favorite spot probably for lunch, we go down to High Tides, Jack's Snack at High Tides. Is that what it's
Snack
called?
Shack.
Yes,
Snack Shack.
Snack Shack. And for fish taco, that's probably the best. And I like the Flagler Fish
Delicious.
Company as well for dinner.
We do too, and I just had a beautiful dinner at a place called Blue. That's right at the Topaz Inn in Flagler Beach. That's really a nice place. That's a little bit more high end than you might expect, but you can also wear your shorts or your flip flops. So we're pretty casual here in Flagler County, so we like for people to be comfortable.
But we'll make sure that you are guided in the right direction in terms of where to eat, and especially if you've got kids and you want. Most of these places are kid friendly. I don't know of many that aren't. But we definitely will, point you in the right direction.
Good. Well, something else that we like to promote here are our spas. We have several wonderful spas all up and down the coastal area there, and we're always willing to tell people again, make some recommendations and tell you what the best treatments are. But there's a wonderful spa there at Hammock Beach, and opportunities to kind of venture out for day spas and that kind of thing as well. So something else that we pride ourselves on, and we have a brand new website that has a lot of special events on it. We do have special events all year long, and I was just telling Walter that we have a great event that is happening on the 14th, which is right after the first session there, that's called the Rock and Rib Fest, that's going to be in the town center at Palm Coast. For those that like oldies, the Little River Band is the guest entertainment this year. So, and they've got some good food, some good barbecue, and entertainment and fun things for the kids to do. So, did want to point that out. That's on the all day on the 14th of April. But you can take a look on our new website, visit flagler.org, and there is a place on the front page that spotlights events, as well as a calendar that you can kind of hover over, and it'll tell you everything that's going on during the time that you're here.
All right. Now, this next screen actually shows your website.
Yes, and it's for those who have been before, who have visited before. It's brand new, just up within the last couple of weeks, and we've really tried to pay attention to making it very easy. There's an area that says where to stay, what to do, or where to stay, where to go, where we are, where to stay, and what to do. So we tried to make it very easy, but it's got everything from all the different things that we just talked about, the eco-adventures to the attractions to events, specials, talks about our beach, talks about all the different communities and what they have to offer. So it's very, very helpful. And there's also a capability to email us if there's something that you're looking for that you don't see. Feel free to email us and ask us anything that you might not see there.
Great. And the visitor center is not that far either.
No, it's
right
not.
off of 95.
In fact, we also have we're going to have two visitor centers by the time you have here. There will be a visitor center in the Flagler Beach Historical Museum that is just right down the beach from Hammock Beach in the city of Flagler Beach, and it's open 7 days a week now, and so you can go down and take a look at that. And that's a countywide center, or else our visitor center is just located off of 100 Highway 100 out by the airport. So just probably about 15 minutes from Hammock Beach.
Great.
And we have a 800 number too that that you'll probably see there, but I'd love to give to you, the 866-736-9291. We're open from 8:30 to 5, and would always welcome calls if something seems confusing, or if you're looking for something in particular. We're definitely here to help you.
Great. Now, the annual guide that you have, your visitor relocation guide, in the past we have been able to get some copies, and we've made them available to attendees at our at the sign-in. So if they are
Right.
available this year, and I'm hoping that you'll have some for us, we'll have them out there as well. So when you pick
We
up your
definitely will. And we have something else that's wonderful is our trails guide that tells where all the trails are, and where it gives the GPS coordinates. It gives everything to show where our trails are. So we'll make sure that you have those and the visitor and newcomer guide and just everything that you need. And we might be able to ask some people to bring out maybe some more information about marine land and about just all the different places that are available here.
Great.
We'll make sure those are there for you.
And here's, I'll leave this information actually up here as we take our Q&A. It's my number on the right side, and you'll see Georgia's on the left, her email address as well as mine, and our website. So if you have any questions between now and your conference, or if you're thinking about registering for one of the summer conferences and you're just up in the air, you want some more information about traveling to Palm Coast, feel free to give us a call. We're always willing to help. We do have some questions here. For those who signed up late or signed in late, you'll see a little box there for questions. You could just type your question in and we'll read it, and we should have time to get to it. So the first question that we have here, will there be any food activities for families to attend as part of the medical seminar? It's a good question. The actual tuition that you paid covers breakfast every morning for the attendee only. Unfortunately, we can't provide breakfast for your family members, so that's just for the attendees only. And we do not have any formal reception or networking sessions. I know that's something that we had been able to do in the past, but in order to keep the tuitions as low as possible, that's one of the things, unfortunately, that had to go. Our conferences are 100% free of commercial support, and they're basically paid for by the tuitions 100% by the physicians who attend, physicians and nurse practitioners and PAs who attend. So it's one of those things where we'd love to be able to provide some formal networking opportunities. We're not able to. But having said that, there are a number of opportunities where you can meet some of the other attendees and so on at really reasonable rates. One of those opportunities, actually the Sundancer, correct, Georgia? That's the yacht that is run by the resort, and they've got a number of cruises, their sunset cruises that go out, and a lot of our attendees really sign up for that. We've sent some information out to the week 1 people, week 2 people for the spring. You'll be getting that information today or tomorrow, and you should really reserve ahead of time. There's a brunch cruise on Sunday, and then there are 2 cruises, sunset cruises in the afternoon, and they've got special rates for kids as well, which is new. I believe last year was a little bit more money.
And that's a great way to see the area. It's just you have to be on the water to be able to really appreciate it.
Right. So we have another question here. What will the weather be like in April?
Well, we hope it'll be absolutely beautiful. Usually, I'm going to look and see on our website. We have a little grid that tells what the weather is, and I'll let you go by experience, Walter.
I'll tell you, this is our 6th year, actually our 5th year in Palm Coast, and I get this question all the time every time we do one of these, so I pulled up the averages for the last 10 years. The weather's perfect, at least for me. It's typically in the mid, the high is typically in the mid to upper 80s. It does get cool in the evenings, though. Okay, it's a time of year where it'll slip down to the 60s in the evening. So I definitely recommend that you bring, a sweater or a jacket for when you do go out in the evenings.
Well, and we always recommend that people bring jackets just because Floridians love air conditioning, and that is kind of a surprise to people sometimes. But sometimes when you go into a restaurant or wherever you are at night, it might be a little cooler. So we always suggest for people to bring a light jacket. And it might be a little cooler in the morning too. But
Right.
yeah, that's what we have on our as far as from our website. Average is about 70, 75. And the lows are average about 60.
Right.
So, but it's my experience too that's a little bit warmer. It's more like in the 80s in
Hmm.
April.
And we've been fortunate these last 5 years. I recall maybe 2 days of rain total, and it was not, in both cases it wasn't a full day of rain. So that was really nice, and hopefully that'll continue this year. Um, are there boat tours available at the resort? It was another question. Now we sort of just answered that, but maybe you could talk about other boat tours. Are there other um, options for
Yeah,
boat tours?
we have a company that's just right over the bridge in Palm Coast. It's called Tropical Kayak. That's right at the Palm Coast Marina. That has a electric boat, which is kind of neat to go out on. And that's how so they have the kayaks and that kind of thing too. Or if you would rather go out with a captain to be able to, go out and fish as well, there's definitely that. And that's on our website as well. You can just look under Eco Adventures, and there's a whole section on boating and fishing, and that'll also tell you a little bit more about the Sundancer as well and some of the other places you can go out of.
All right. Could you talk a little bit about the kayaking again? I know you mentioned it earlier, but the other day you introduced me to, I guess, Ripple Effect.
Yes, Ripple Effect, again, is right across are located right across the street from Marineland, and they do daily trips. And it's kind of interesting because it's fun, of course, because kayaking is always fun. But it's very educational because it tells you a lot about the history of Florida and the early Timucuan Indians that were here, and how they lived, and what the I guess why this is one of the most perfect places for a lot of different kinds of aquatic life, and why while maybe like dolphin would thrive here. While I was on a kayak trip on Monday, there were about 6 dolphins playing all around my kayak. So it's just, you never really know what you're going to see. The birding is just absolutely amazing. They do, depending on the tides, they do a little different tour every day, just because you do have to depend on the tides. It might be high tide or low tide, but you're always going to get some absolutely beautiful scenery. We went out in one of the creeks there, and were able to look from the creek back down to Princess Place Preserve, which is one of our county parks. Just an absolutely gorgeous day. And one thing that sometimes people wonder is, what kind of ability would you have to be able to kayak? And it's a very easy trip. It's not very strenuous. They also have 3-person kayaks, where if you want to take the mom and dad and a child, and then some smaller kayaks for kids. So it's really, I think they have an age limit, maybe 5 or 6. But it is just a phenomenal experience, and just takes you out in the middle of nowhere where you can hear nothing, and just really, really a beautiful way to see the area. And then we also have Tropical Kayak, which is at the Palm Coast Marina, and they will do it a little differently. If you want to go, they'll kind of give you an idea of where you're going, and you can go out on your own, or they also have a guided tour. So it's just, as much or as little as you want. That's the good opportunity here.
Great, thank you. What activities do you recommend for young kids?
Well, the beach first and foremost. The beach. We definitely do. Hammock Beach has got a wonderful lazy river that the kids seem to enjoy, that has a slide and a lot of activities to do there. Again, I would recommend the horseback riding. We have horseback riding at the Ag Museum that's really probably only about 20 minutes from there. We'd love to take our kids out here. There's no such thing as too young to be able to surf. We put them out on shorter boards. We, you rent some boards to be able to, like the boogie board kind of thing, to be able to go. I think that it's just a wide variety of things to do.
This might be a great opportunity to mention in more detail Marineland.
Yes, Marineland is really our star attraction here. And I was going to try to find on our website, we have a little area that talks about, it's under Trip Ideas. It talks about 10 things that you can do for under $10. And then it also talks about the Marineland Dolphin Adventure and tells all of the different activities that you can do there. There's one called the Immersion, where you actually go out within the water and have masks and life vests and really get in touch with the dolphins there as part of a 30-minute encounter. There's also ways to just, there's like a trainer for the day. There's all sorts of different ways that you can see them. Or you can just kind of step back. There's viewing pools where you can touch them and feed them and pet them. It's just an absolutely wonderful, wonderful experience.
Yeah,
and the history there is interesting as well.
I've seen these dolphin encounter programs at other resorts or really at other locations in the Caribbean and Mexico and other parts of Florida, and I've got to tell you that it's done completely differently at Marineland. These are research professionals. These are people who are really trained. They've got backgrounds in marine biology, and my children actually did it a few years ago, and they spent a lot of time talking about the dolphins before they went in and actually swam with the dolphins. It was a great experience. It wasn't just you jump in and out.
And one thing that I've not ever seen anywhere else too is they have an interactive program where the dolphins they've trained the dolphins to paint, for lack of a better word. They they choose up to like 3 colors, and the dolphins put the paint in their mouth, or I guess put the the brush or whatever you would call it, and actually paint on a canvas, and then the participants are able to take that artwork with them. And I promise, Walter, some of the things that you see look exactly like dolphins swimming.
Wow.
And it's one of the most interesting things I've ever seen. So it kind of combines the, your love of dolphins with artwork.
Yeah. In the packet that we're sending, out to everyone, we have a link to Marineland. They were kind enough to offer the attendees to our conference a 10% discount. But you need to book it beforehand. And if you plan on doing one of their encounters, they probably will sell out of most of the available time slots, the week prior to the conference. So I recommend that you go online and reserve your space early. And again, you'll get a 10% discount if you do it through their website with the URL that we provide, and that's in the packet. We'll also give it out at the conference as well. What about teenagers? What do you recommend in terms of activities for teenagers?
One of our iconic areas in Flagler County is our pier. And I know that people like to not only walk out on the pier, which only costs you $1.50 to do, but you can also fish off the pier. And I've seen a lot of teens, tweens, whatever, like to go out and do that. It's really kind of a cool thing to do. So again, we always love to rent bikes, and you can go for hours and hours and hours on a bike. We have one of our companies here called Maya Rentals, and they will be at the Paddle Out Water Sports that I was talking about earlier, and they have a couple of different locations. So we do have the bikes to rent, and you can just get lost back in some of these different areas. It's just absolutely beautiful. Great places to run, great places to hike. That's probably what. And then there's just some cool kind of things too. There's Palm Coast has a geocaching that's kind of taken off right now. You can go on their website and take a look at some of their geocache locations. We've got another place that's called Art and Soul Studio, where you can kind of come in and make your own masterpieces. I don't know. It's just it just depends on the taste. I could probably tell you whatever you were looking for. We could find you something that would interest you.
We have a question here about St. Augustine. How far is it to St. Augustine? And I could answer that one. St. Augustine is just directly north. The resort is on A1A. If you just were to make a right turn onto A1A outside of the resort and go straight for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, you will be in downtown St. Augustine. And I highly recommend a trip to St. Augustine, at least one afternoon after the conference. You plan your time right, you should really fill up that afternoon into the evening. Some of the recommendations, and it goes back to the question about what to do with kids as well as teenagers, the
Alligator Farm.
The Alligator Farm. And it's deceiving. That name is completely deceiving, because you think, all right, it's going to be a bunch of alligators, but it's not. It's actually a zoo. And it's a really nice one, too. It's not huge, but you'll spend a couple of hours there.
Well, and something that people would never think in an alligator farm is there's a bird rookery. So it's just a wonderful place to see egrets and other sorts of birds. That's something that you may never have even considered, but that's a huge part of the alligator farm.
That was the biggest surprise for me the first time I went to the alligator farm. We walked over this little boardwalk that led us to the birds, and I thought we'd see some birds, but the place was covered with birds all over, and it's such a natural setting. It was really beautiful. We took some great pictures there, and there are a number of different animals besides the alligators there, and they've got shows that they put on. Right across from the alligator farm is the lighthouse, and there are tours of the lighthouse, and then you just go north just a little bit more, and you cross over the bridge, and you're in St. Augustine. St. Augustine, if it's your first time there, I recommend one of the tours. They've got these guided tours that go on trolleys. Yeah, there are a number of companies who offer them, and they'll take you to different spots. You can get out, see something, get back in. Definitely go into the fort and explore the fort, and there's a Ripley's Believe It or Not museum there as well. So you'll definitely spend a lot of time there if you plan on one afternoon to just kind of explore everything, and one night for dinner as well. Lots of restaurants. We do give recommendations for restaurants as well on our sheet, and you'll see some on the board during the meeting. A little bit closer, if you just want something really quick and simple to do without going too far, just past Marineland is another fort, Fort Matanzas.
Matanzas. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's a national park, and I don't know if there's a fee now for that or not, and I'm not sure if you've done that, Georgia, but they'll take you on a little boat ride across the inlet to the fort. It's a very old fort. It's much smaller than it's more of a lookout than anything else, but they're dressed in period costumes, and they take you there and take you back. And I know that a lot of the families who have come before, they've taken their kids on that, and it's a neat little thing to do.
Yeah, because that's our closest national monument to Flagler County.
Yeah.
And I'm looking on their website to see, but if you look on our website under Trip Ideas, there's a link to the Fort Matanzas Monument site. There's a link to St. Augustine. There's a link to race fans who, if they would want to go down to see take a tour around the Daytona International Speedway. So we're real fortunate to have so many great things so close to us.
Yeah, and that's another great option as well. Do something in the afternoon is to go down to the Speedway and take the tour. Whether you're a NASCAR fan or not, it's a pretty impressive tour, and you get to ride. They have a trolley that takes you actually around the track, and you get to see all the different areas and learn a little bit more about why that race is so popular. It's a neat tour. I've done that one before. Jumping back to St. Augustine for a second, another recommendation for teenagers, especially if you have teenagers. This seems to be very popular nowadays is ghost tours. There are a number of different ghost tours in St. Augustine. I don't know if there are any yet in Flagler, but I know that they have some in St. Augustine. You need one, right?
No, St. Augustine, they're very popular. I mean, everything from going into the old jail and, going into the different buildings downtown and hearing the stories. It's just that's definitely a good idea.
Yeah, and I've done them all with my children over the last 5 years. So if you're interested in a ghost tour and want a recommendation, please ask me. A really neat one is the Ripley's Believe It or Not tour, because they actually take you into the museum at night in the dark, and you get to wander around in there. And there's a nice one also at the lighthouse. We only have a few more minutes here. We are going to backtrack to something that we discussed early on the start of the session. Someone's asking about car rentals. They're flying into Jacksonville and they need a car. I don't know if they need a car at the resort or whether a shuttle to the resort would be adequate. Definitely recommend renting a car. Everything is spread out. This is a very different beach resort and beach location. If you have in your mind, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, or some of the Marco Island, where everything is within walking distance, and you'll see resort after resort after resort with restaurants. This is very different. It's more spread out, natural, very. I don't want to say it's underdeveloped, but it's not as developed as other parts of Florida. To get from one area to the other, we recommend the car. You'll make the most out of your time there. You'll enjoy yourself as well a little bit more.
And everything's an easy drive. That's the good news too, is that almost the majority of what you're going to do is up and down A1A
Right.
or on 95 and the couple of feeder roads that go into it. So it's very easy to
Yeah, I think the furthest you'll ever have to drive might be St. Augustine if you want to go up there for the day, and that's like I said, on A1A it's about a 25-minute drive to downtown. It typically takes me 25 minutes. So we recommend that you rent a car from Jacksonville, and the cost of the car rental and gas will probably be just slightly higher than or equal to what you might pay round trip for a car service. So that's enough of a reason for me. But we have a couple of more minutes here. What water activities are available at the resort? So you've got the pools for one thing, and I say pools with plural because there are numerous pools. It will be a busy week. Everybody tends to go right to that big pool with the slide and the lazy river.
It's a fun one.
That's a fun one. That actual pool area, pool complex, has got the lazy river. It has an adult pool. It has 2 additional pools. One that the slide goes into, and then there's a zero entry pool that has actually it's surrounded by sands, and that's a nice one. You see a lot of families with kids there. You'll find it easier to find a chair by that pool than you will elsewhere. If that pool is crowded, which it can get crowded there midday, there are additional pools on the property. There's the indoor pool, which I constantly forget about. It's a very large indoor pool, but there's also the pool near the lodge. That's one of the nicest pools because it's right by the ocean. There's the boardwalk access that takes you, within 1 minute you're at the ocean, and it's never crowded. And then there's a pool right by the ballroom where the conference will be. If you just continue down the hallway, there's a passageway. I call it the secret pool because no one knows about it, and there are times where you'll only see one person at that pool, and it's a really beautiful pool. So in terms of water activities, the pools are really the way to go. There's some other activities at the resort. If you're staying at the resort and if you book the room through our group discount, they will offer you unlimited bike rentals. Usually you take the bikes out for about an hour or so, and then you return them, but it's unlimited, as well as their putt-putt golf. is unlimited. In terms of bike rentals, we also there are a few companies that rent bicycles in the area. There's one company that we we put the information on the sheet that we sent out that is actually offering a nice discount on bike, a 50% discount on bike rentals, and that's MYA Rentals.
Yeah, Maya.
And,
They call it stuff Maya Rental.
Maya Rental. And what's interesting about Maya Rental is that if you are interested in going to one of those trails that Georgia spoke about, and you drive there and you want to actually ride a bike there, if you call Maya Rental, they'll meet you there and they'll actually give you the bike until you're done, and they'll come and pick it up. And 50% off of their rates, and their rates are amazing. It's $30 for a week, $15 for a day, and $5 for an hour. It's 50% off of that, which amazes me. But so if you're not staying at the resort, or if you just want your own bike to do what you want with it, and then have to return it back to the resort, I would recommend Maya, and there are some others as well. And I'm not sure if you want to, there's 5 minutes left, if you want to make any closing comments before we move on. I don't see any additional questions. They were good questions, but I don't see any additional questions. If there's anything else you want to add, Georgia?
Well, I just really do want to refer everybody back to the website always, just because we've worked really hard to make sure that we have a lot of good information in there. I mean, when you were talking about the, just the airports, I mean, there's all the information about our airports, including our local airport if you want to fly in, fly your own plane in. But it talks about the nearby airports, all of the rental car agencies, a little bit more like of where we are. And that's just always important for people. As far as, like I told you, the events, and if you want to get information beforehand, you talked about having our visitor's guide there, but if you would like for us to send you information beforehand, there's a place to sign up for our e-newsletter. So we really like to refer people always to, and you can take a look at videos, you can take a look at some of the photos of the Hammock Beach and the other activities that are there. So really we definitely like for people to take a look at our website, because we've worked real hard, and there's always the main things to do that that we would like for you to take a look, especially under the trip ideas and the specials. Those are the places that I would have people go take a look.
Great. Yeah, and the resort itself is a great source for information. The people at the front desk, they're all trained concierges. They'll tell you about anything you need to know, restaurant recommendations, activities, and so on. And I'll be on site as well as my staff. So we know the area well, having been there now. This is our 5th year. So feel free to ask us any questions. And again, look at that board. We will be putting recommendations on that board. And with that, I think we'll end our webinar. Georgia, thank you very much for taking the time this afternoon. And
thank you so much. We look forward to having everybody here. It's just a great place to visit.
Great. Thank you.